So today I bring you two stories from the Daily Wire, which is about the LGBT LMNP community. Well, okay, I don't want to make the jokes already because let's be honest, it's the LGBT community, and these are the normal people who are being caught up in all the politicisation. Well, politicisation, Pride itself kind of is sort of a politicised event, kind of, mainly just due to the history about acceptance and getting their rights. It's an expression of them, I guess. I guess it started off as political, then became less political over the years before being repoliticised over, intersectionalism and social justice and all that. But for now, for the sake of argument, and I do agree with what the people have said here, the politicisation is going far, way too far. And it started off with Chicago. Now, in Chicago, the march is known as the Chicago Dyke March. That's one of the colloquial terms, but it makes me laugh. Even though they're not all dykes, but I guess maybe most of them are. So, as you can see by the little headline there, the Jewish flags were banned at the Pride March. 3 people were told to remove them because apparently it made people feel unsafe, because apparently the Pride March was in solidarity with refugees and people who are having their land taken away. So essentially, as you will soon see here, this march was apparently an anti-Zionist and pro-Palestinian march, which is ironic because they're against the country that isn't anti-gay, but are pro the people who don't have a country but are anti-gay, who would rather see these people not do what they're doing and be flung off buildings than be allowed to express themselves and love who they want to love. Just keep that in consideration. These people, but somehow these gay people are pro the anti-gay people and anti the people who don't care about the gays or are pro-gay. I don't know. I know that in Israel it isn't illegal. And here is their statement. Yesterday, June 24th, Chicago Dyke March was held in the La Villita neighbourhood to express support for undocumented refugee and immigrant communities. I assume they mean Arab ones, because they're not talking about actual fucking refugees from other parts of the world, are they? Of course, I know the Syrians are actually refugees, so let's not group them in with the migrants. But still, we know who they mean by this, and these people would rather than be hung or thrown off buildings. I don't know about the Syrians. I heard they were pretty for an Islamic state. Well, they were a secular state. They were pretty, liberal for that area. And sadly, our celebration of dyke, queer and trans solidarity was partially overshadowed by a decision to ask 3 individuals carrying Israeli flags superimposed on rainbow flags to leave the rally. So they actually had to leave. They were not allowed to express not only the fact that they're proud to be gay or whatever, but also because they're proud to be Jewish. Incredible. This decision was made after repeatedly expressed support for Zionism during conversations with Chicago Dyke Collective members. We have since learned that at least one of these individuals is the regional director for A Wider Bridge, an organisation with connections to the Israeli state and right-wing pro-Israel interest groups. A Wider Bridge has been protested for provocative actions at other LGBTQ events, and has been condemned by numerous organisations for using Israel's supposed LGBTQ tolerance to pink-wash the violent occupation of Palestine. Well, you see, the thing is, Palestine is not being occupied. In fact, Israel doesn't even control most of Palestine, the area that we know as Palestine, considering that the Palestinians do kind of have their own states. The West Bank, Gaza. It's not a proper one, but there is no fucking occupation. And the state of Palestine does not exist. There's Israel and the territory is owned by Palestinians. And besides, there's Arab Israelis who are Palestinians. And the Christians, they all live there. And they seem to be doing just fine. But hey, whatever. This is a pro-Palestinian pride, apparently. I don't know why. I assume it's because intersectionality, the Jews are the oppressive white people in the Middle East, even though they're Jews and they live in the Middle East. And this politicisation, this supposedly intersectional Pride March isn't so intersectional. But then again, intersectionalism, it was never so intersectional. It's anti-white, it's anti-male, and now we can say it's anti-anybody who is not considered oppressed enough or is not considered gay enough, because they might have something that is, I don't know, tainted because these guys are Jewish and they're all for the Jewish state, as they would be. Or are they? Because at least one of them had links to a group that supposedly does provocative actions. I don't know. I doubt that. I don't believe them. But the other two, what if they had no opinion, or maybe they themselves weren't in favour of Zionism? There are Jews that aren't in favour of that. And apparently they're explicitly not anti-Semitic. They're anti-Zionist. Yeah, sure, whatever. The Chicago Dyke March collective supports the liberation of Palestine and all oppressed people everywhere. Yeah, they're so oppressed. They're so oppressed, right? It's not like they would oppress you at a moment's notice if they were to gain the whole of Palestine back. Or did they ever have it back? They were always controlled by somebody. That whole area since Roman times has been controlled by somebody else. There's never been an independent kingdom since Judea, literally. They were controlled by the Romans, they were controlled by the Byzantines, they were then controlled by the first Islamic empires, then the Ottomans, and now Israel has land there, but not all of Palestine. But anyway, I'm going into history, but the point is, they're not oppressed. And they are the people who are firing rockets into Israeli cities, killing men, women and children. And of course, the border walls have got to go from Palestine to Mexico. Right, sure. Just remember that they're the only people who are helping to keep ISIS at bay over there, that are killing, well, as well as Saudi Arabia, killing fellow gay people, I'll have you know. And yeah, ironically, the liberation of Palestine does mean the total annihilation of the Jewish state. So they are essentially supporting the annihilation of the Jewish state. Loads of Jews may get killed if that were to ever happen. And, well, I don't know. Apparently they're not anti-Semitic, but, yeah. And as one of the people said, it's supposed to be intersectional, but they don't know why their identity is excluded from that, because as a Jew, they didn't feel welcome there. Because you're an oppressor. You're oppressing the Palestinians. You build walls to stop terrorists from bombing you and driving trucks into your cities to blow up. But anyway, it's not just in Chicago where we've had pride issues with SJWs and far left organisations ruining it for everybody. Because look, before we get to the other one, as anybody who watches Tree of Logic, she did a live stream on this particular one. She's bisexual, and she basically said the reason why these people who have managed to take over this community, and why they've managed to protest these events without much of an issue, is because, to paraphrase her, essentially it's they're weak. Not that they're weak people, but they're a weak target. They're more exposed to this. They're susceptible to this kind of stuff. And this is why these racist, far-left people can control these pride events and turn them into politicised events about something that pride isn't about. Pride isn't about refugees. Pride is about being gay or trans or whatever. It's about expressing who you are and being proud of who you are, not about political events in Europe and the Middle East. That's not what it's about. It's not about showing solidarity for them. And then in Chicago, as we can see here, I think this was Black Lives Matter, although they don't mention who it was Black Lives Matter. There were a bunch of anti-police protesters at the Pride in New York who were using this as, and basically they were using the Pride to get some attention. But sadly for them, the crowd and the gay community were not interested in their stupid fucking narrative. They were there shouting that, oh, the police are anti-queer, they're anti-minorities. And yet the police were there protecting not only, well, they have to anyway, it's their job to stop a riot, not only the protesters, but also the pride marchers and the people watching. And in this article, they mention how they went and talked to cops. Now the cops were clearly queer friendly, And then when the cops who were LGBT, who were part of the parade, were marching down, when they were seen, they got a massive cheer. These protesters literally were caught with their pants down. Nobody cared. People cheered the cops. And I'm glad that they did that. Now look, I've got mixed feelings on the police. I know the police, most police officers are like the people who are at this Pride Parade. However, there are a few, and it isn't just a case of a few bad apples, especially in America. There's a concern about, you know, them being able to get away with actual crimes, and they do. But that's besides the point. The point is that we should be trying to just fix these issues rather than demonise police officers. And I'm glad that they got cheered, because if they got booed, then we'd have serious issues. You don't boo them, you work with them to solve the issues that they have in their organisation and make it better. That's what you do. You don't go what BLM do, what these hashtag resistance, apparently, that's what they were called, do, and just chant horrible shit about them and try to turn people against them. No, you work with the police to fix not only your community or other communities, but them too. You root out the rot that is in the police. You fix the issues in training and accountability, and you make everything better. And again, Pride is not the place for this. If you want to protest the police, use your own protest. You can organise that, they'll let you do it. You have the right to protest. You do not, well, you can, but you should not be using Pride as some kind of attention-seeking thing. And this is what they did in Toronto, and this is what they're trying to do in New York. But thankfully, New York saw better. Anyway, this is just a quick video. Hope you all had a good time. I'm glad that these far-left organisations are slowly losing their popularity, although the problem with the LGBT community is that they've been so infiltrated, and that they seem to just, apart from this event, they seem more susceptible than other communities to bend over backwards for them. That it's going to take a while for them to gain the courage and the strength to root them out, but it'll happen. This is encouraging. So this is pretty much the end of the video. I will be on Eindin Paladin's 20k, is it 25k subscriber celebration stream at 10 o'clock EST, is it? I don't know. I don't know when that is for me. I think it's 9 PM GMT, so go look on a thing, you'll find it. Anyway, I'll see you all later.